All right, welcome to the Forge Coffee Break. This is the episode number 58 of the Coffee Break. Thank you very much for joining. As usual, this is a very open space for general questions and topics that you may have, projects that you're working on. And this week, we have special guests coming from the Kansas City Accelerator. Thank you for joining. And hope you all can hear me okay in there in Kansas City. Can you... Yeah, okay, cool. I think you can. All right, cool. So as usual, let me start with you. If you have any questions or topics that you'd like to bring up. And what do we have from people? Any projects? How is it going in Kansas? Jaime? Or he's not hearing. Yeah, I think you can hear the room.
I know. Yeah, probably other people are probably pushing one.
No, yeah, it's impossible. Yeah, there is too much noise.
Is it like Big Brother?
Yeah, it's funny,
Hello.
right? It feels like a Big Brother in Kansas City.
Hi, by the way.
Right. So okay, maybe we can figure this out later. All right, what else? Who else is working on Forge project? Oh, sorry, now it's APS. What are you working on? Any interesting projects, any questions or topics that you'd like to bring up?
It would be difficult to change our minds to change the word from Forge to APS.
Yeah, well, it takes some time.
Now it's just taken our minds. So.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a question. I don't know.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, because I'm developing with design automation right now, and on your example, Augusto.
Which one?
The one with BIM issues.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
In 360 issues, you're using a tool called NGRock for tunneling the to expose the local host to the internet, so we can get the callback from design automation. But the tool is I'm going to the page, but it's not available. So I don't know if it's this project is stopped or.
No, I think it is still available, right? So let me just open here. We move this away here for a moment. Sorry, just that the window is a bit weird. So here's the page, and we have to. Oh crap! Sorry. My window is resized for some reason. Okay, NGRock. So download. Yeah, what do you have, Mac or Windows?
Windows.
Okay, so Windows. Here, download, right?
So I don't know why it's not working on my. It says that this site cannot be reached. I don't know why.
NGRock.com.
Yeah. No, I will try to use another browser.
So so the benefit of using NGRock is that you can funnel the request from the web to a specific endpoint on your application, which helps you really simulate the production environment, right? Because you can get the callback on your local host. Now, what Varun is mentioning is that you can also use web hooks dot something. What is the address again?
I meant test your webhook if it's working or not.
Yeah, but what is that address that you can test webhooks? Webhook.site, right?
Yes, I think.
Webhook.site.
Yes.
But you can test in Postman also, I believe.
Well, but you don't get the callback in Postman, do you?
Yes, you will get.
Okay, I don't know that then. I have to learn. So let me explain this one for us, right? So when you specify the callback, you pass something like this, right? So the only difference is with this kind of webhook.site is that when you get the callback, you see it in this URL. So you cannot actually funnel that through your application, right? So it's one way to test, but it's not as good as the NGRock, because NGRock can funnel that to your running code, right? That's why it's better. But webhook doesn't require any application, and you can see all the payload here. So it's good for you to understand what you were getting back instead of funneling through ngrok. And yeah. So one thing that I do, I use this webhook.site to get the first callback from Forge, right? And then I copy and paste that payload into Postman or Insomnia, so I can keep hitting my endpoint, right? Because the callback from Forge may take a few minutes, and I don't want to wait a few minutes every time that I'm testing my application, right? So I just simulate calling my application with the payload. So I get the payload and keep hitting my endpoint so I can test it. There's just something for you to test as well if you want.
Okay, we'll try.
Cool. So that
Thank
sample, I was just opening the sample here. That's the sample we're talking about, right? So
Yes.
there are a few webhooks here because you have to trigger design automation when the model changes, and so there is a webhook notifying you there is a new version of the file, and then there is a second webhook which is a callback when the design automation job is done, so you can create the issues, right? So you need two endpoints for this specific sample.
Nice. Nice, because right now I'm just clicking refreshing every time, like to see the status if it's done or not.
Yeah, so Michael is mentioning two options here. So request bin, I haven't seen this one.
Yeah, that one's nice. So you can set up essentially API testing. I'll do this in parallel to if I'm sending, something from some system, let's say ACC Connect or Jitterbit or anything. Send here or get responses here in addition to the app or where I'm expecting it. Just allow me to do side-by-side comparison. So you could get it there as well.
Oh, and the other one you mentioned is the browser callback.
Yeah, when you use Postman on the web version of Postman, that's embedded. So you have to put that in your app registration, that callback URL, and then when you send calls through Postman in the web, it'll send it straight back there in the browser.
Cool, I didn't know that. So Postman callback. Okay, I'll try to learn this one. It's new to me. Interesting. Yeah, thanks for sharing. That's interesting. All right, well, what else we are working on? Let me share some interesting news from our side, right? So we are doing a call for beta for AEC Cloud Information Model. So what is this, right? So when you have the models on the cloud today, you can use some of model properties, some of the model derivative to query the data, but that's still a translation over the file, right? That's not actually the real file to a query. You're just querying a translation or an extraction of that. So just like we did for Fusion, where now we have the Fusion data, we are aiming to do the same thing for AC, and we announced that at AU as Forma. So there are a few things there and a few things inside Forma, and this AC Cloud Information Model, it's one piece of Forma, which is essentially hosting the AC model data in the cloud instead of hosting the files, right? So with this beta, we are aiming to test some of the queries, some of the workflows we're working on. So that will be interesting. If that's something that is interesting for you, apply for the beta. We just need some information from you, and yeah, it's starting shortly, like maybe in a couple of weeks. And we'll be using graphs and GraphQL. So interesting learning as well. Questions here?
Can you post that link?
Yeah.
So for example, if you want to query information from rapid files, we don't need to open the model or query in a directly a model. We can query like the information from a like data pool or something like that. Or
think that instead of having a .rvt file that needs to be processed and extracted, right? Think that you have a database that your system is just connecting to that database and retrieving data or pushing more data to that database, right? And in that context, we need to understand what kind of queries and what kind of data you need. So that's why we're doing this kind of this beta here, so we can hear from you what we're doing, what you need. Sorry.
And we can model this data as we want, or
well, there will be think this as a journey, and so several steps to get there, right? So yes, so eventually you can host your own data. You can host. We have our data and your data hosted as well. So let's say you want to have additional parameters, or want to have a complete new database that hosts your data. But no, this is a bit far in the future. Most likely something around those lines with all the disclaimers that that may or may not happen. But what is happening first is that assuming that you have the data you have today and you want to query that data. Let's say you want to query across designs with projects and retrieve entities that match specific filter criteria. So let's say extract volume of concrete across Revit models for a project. So this is one sample query, right? So what are the types of queries you want to run? Let's say you want to run, very deep geometry data, or is that something that's important for you? So that's the kind of thing we want to hear from you. What kind of queries are important, and make some tests with the database we have today for you to test.
Okay.
So it's very early call for feedback, but it will be interesting because if this is really important for you, and I believe it should be for many of you, make sure that your voice is heard, and you share with us what kind of queries and what kind of data you want.
Actually, it's a very interesting point, because most of the time we are dealing from my side. Okay, we are dealing with Revit models. We are dealing with information, creating parameters in Revit models, but sometimes it is not it's not optimized to fill with a lot of information the Revit models, and sometimes we are using external data with, like, for example, using a key value in a parameter to link the beam objects in a Revit model with more data from an Excel file, for example. But that's it. We are using Excel files or CSV files that are not in the cloud, that are for example, in OneDrive or and this is not like how can I say it? Like in just one pool of information. It's not just So that's why we are always trying to find a way to create our databases. But if you are doing it like that,
so that's part of it here. And the other piece of that puzzle is the data exchange and the connectors we have here, right? So one of the ideas behind data exchange, and there are a few pieces here, right? So the first one is you can share pieces of your model. So that's one thing. That's the core of data exchange. The other piece is that we have connectors on other applications to read and write, or should they just read that data. So let's say you have your Revit model and you share that with the cloud, right? You sync that with the cloud, which then triggers an automation or triggers an update in Excel, because that data that you see on your Excel file is coming from that shared environment. So what we're talking about to maintain a real connection with Excel and other things is really data exchange today, which eventually will evolve and with the connectors, we'll merge more within the AC information model.
Mhm.
So look at the connectors that we have here, and we are planning to do so there is a lot of background noise coming from somewhere. There will be shortly we're planning to have a beta on the connector kit, or how can you create your own connectors. So let's say you want to do a SAP connector or Excel connector, right? And you'll be able to do that as well using that idea of connectors.
Okay, great.
And can I ask a quick question?
Yes. Hi, Jonathan.
Hi. So basically, this beta is for accessing model data in a different way than normally with these connectors. Is this connected to live models, or just models that are published in BIM, in ACC, for example?
So you're talking about this AC cloud information model call for beta, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a very early beta, and if you read here, for these betas, participants will be querying design data extracted from sample models uploaded to a test project, meaning that it's already there. You're just playing with the data that we are offering you at this point. So we want to make sure that we are getting this right in a way that we want to test with you if we are aiming for the right workflows, the workflows you need with this amount of data, right? Now, this will evolve to a point that you can query the data that you are just designing, right? So I'm working on my Revit model right here, and that data is in sync with someone else working on the same model, right? So in the future, you can think something like what you do today with Google Docs or Word connected to OneDrive. You are changing here, and someone else is looking at change on the other machine, right? So they can share the same data. So that's where we're going. And but no, this first step is really about queries. So yes, Jonathan, that's the long-term, multi-year goal, or goal, right? But today, start with the queries.
Okay, and these queries, they're different in the sense that they don't go through the model derivative path, right? I mean, it's still basically the data, when it's persistent, is in the Revit models, or will be in the Revit models.
Yeah. So again, for this beta, the data is already there, already pre-filled for you. You are just querying the data, right? Eventually, when we move forward in a few years, right, the data will be live from your model. That we are aiming to not have this expensive translation that we get the whole file and translate and extract everything, but to have incremental changes on your file. So you make one small change, there is one incremental change on that file instead of having to re-upload the whole binary again, right? So that's the problem we have today, because if you publish a new version of your Revit file, there is a new complete version of the RVT that needs to be extracted and may take hours. So that process is way too long, and that's what we're trying to fix with this cloud information model. The data is in sync.
I see. I see.
Yeah.
Now I get the whole picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so
fantastic.
if you want to see where we are going, so what is the goal with this? You can try Fusion, right? So the Fusion app uses that Fusion data today. So I think it's like 500,000 people, I don't know, something like that, using Fusion, and the data is live, right? So if you have two Fusion applications looking at the same data, it's live update from one to the other because the data is live there.
Fantastic. Thank you.
All right, I'm talking too much. Any other questions or topics or different thing from you?
Do you plan to support BIM 360, or is it just ACC?
That have not been decided yet. Again, this is very early, so this private beta is still very early. But Ricky, if you have strong concerns, just talk to us. If you look at the data exchange, today it's ACC only. I believe there is a plan to also support Win360, but it's just that it takes time to do both things. They have different storage for data, right? That's why we're moving from one to the other. So Eric's asking about will you be using a different format for viewing, such as USD, Universal Scene Description, and I believe you're talking about the viewer, right? Is Michael there?
Hello?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, the USD file format.
Uh-huh. And why do you need that?
Well, it's something we've been looking on our side for the digital twin model. And I was wondering, and you mentioned the data exchange, is there a way that you guys could transform certain, like let's say Revit file, transform that model to a USD file format for viewing? Is that in the near future, or are you guys gonna still continue with the Forge viewer, their file format?
And I was on mute, sorry. There are a few pieces to that answer, right? So the first piece is Forge viewer, or the viewer, right? Where does it sit? So the viewer today, it's really read-only because of the way it was designed, right? And that technology may change in the future, of course. Everything's changed. But to really support the AC cloud, AC cloud information model, do we need to change that? Do people need to change their models live, or they just want to view it and change metadata? So there are lots of questions there. Okay. How should the viewer, the browser experience for viewing large AC models be, right? So that's one thing as well, that we have to understand how much we need to go, right? Now, back to the original question, the viewer, we are always looking for other formats and other things. Today, the SVF and SVF2 are really optimized for large AC models, which is different from USD, GLTF, and other formats. But those formats are open source. They are open source, and there is a community maintenance on them, right? So we are working with them to leverage some of our expertise on those large models. But what else GLTF needs to support? Because AC large building versus a small electronic device that you're buying on a shop store because you need GLTF for e-commerce. So that's those complete different things, right? And I know that you, Eric, work a lot with 2D models. So 2D is a complete different thing as well. And talking about 2D, DWG, there is a call for feedback as well around those things. And convert, where is it? Beta. We announced maybe a few months back that we are changing how we translate DWG files in Forge. And let me get that for you here. So if you're really focused on 2D, you should participate on that blog, on that feedback as well.
Nice.
Because I know that you do a lot of 2D things, right? So
yeah.
Let me show you here. Give me a sec. And yeah, here. So again, call for feedback. Essentially, what we're doing is we are switching to a smart PDF for 2D models. So today we have this proprietary format. So we get the DWG, extract to this format that is Autodesk only, and then showing the viewer, right? So we want to use a smart PDF as a storage system instead of this instead of our format, right? So so instead of using this native format, is this internal format, we can use PDF for viewing 2D files only. So only 2D that I'm talking here, right? It's specifically DWG. So yeah, you may want to see if that affects
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and you see that the viewer it's a bit different when you handle 2D and 3D, right? So 2D is really about lines, line weight, high precision, right? And the 3D is are meshes and a very large data set for viewing, right? So, and essentially the viewer is actually two different viewers in most cases, right? One for 2D and one for 3D, because they have very different constraints. All right. So we are just getting on time. Any last questions, last topics? Or last topic? Just have time for one more.
I think just got a little bit quiet here, so now you can hear me, right?
Yes, but it's a bit far away, but yeah, go ahead.
Oh, all right. Could be because it's probably using one of the other mics. Let me see if
Yeah.
this one gets better.
Yeah, it's a
This
bit better. Yes.
I just wanted to say, I guess you saw the Big Brother camera, so everybody is like basically can just raise their hand and say hi. So we're on the like Kansas City accelerator, and so far so good. Like they have cameras on this, so we can see it. But yeah, so that's about it. And then like some of them are working on like some uses of like the viewer, design automation, and so on. We also have Raul from the Revit team here. So far so good. So just wanted to let you know. And then I know Michael was looking for a way for us to be able to share with all of you. So this is my best that I can do.
Yeah, but you're supposed to share the food too.
Oh yeah, well
yeah, we should, right?
Come next time. For sure. All right. Well, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Jaime. Thank you, everyone, for in Kansas. Hope you're enjoying there. I keep trying to remember, is Clark Kent from Kansas or Kansas City? It's Kansas, right? No one knows. Where is Superman from? No,
What's
he's not here. Is Superman from Kansas City or Kansas?
Oh.
I know it's Kansas something, right? Because there are some jokes around it, but yeah. And anyway, completely different topic. All right. Thanks everyone. Thank you for joining. And let me share again here quickly. As usual, the next coffee break will be in 2 weeks. Same time, same link, November 2nd. Right. And see you then. Thank you for joining today. Thank you guys in Kansas.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.